I never really understood the difference between changing a mind and changing a mindset until I saw it in practice. See, I worked in a juvenile corrections facility, and we were constantly trying to change a kid's mind about what they could do, about what they could achieve, and what they should do. There was a guy I worked with who tried to convince me that changing somebody's mind was actually a waste of time. And he had a practice of asking kids questions like, what did you do that mattered? What did you do that made a difference this week? And for those of us who got to witness, you would see over time these kids' perceptions of themselves would change. What he told me was anybody can change their mind for a second, but to have the wherewithal to follow through on that changing of your mind requires building mindset muscles. Giving somebody the answers or convincing them of your point of view might change somebody's mind. Helping them clarify how they think about themselves and how they come to answers builds their mindset. Build their mindset and you won't have to change their mind.
Your brain is always looking for evidence to confirm what you have told it. So if the story in your mind is things are always shit and never working out for me, your brain is going to cherry pick everything in your life that reinforces that. This is why when people start to say things like, show me how it gets better, I know it can get better than this. It starts to, because your brain is going to start looking for evidence for that to be true. It's a confirmation bias, and it doesn't have to be rooted in negativity. Your brain will start to cherry pick the things that are good and that show that life has the capacity to be better. Your mind is just doing its job. It's looking for proof to reinforce the reality that you have created for yourself up there. So be intentional about the reality you're creating.
There's this incredibly eye-opening and honestly mind-blowing story that helped shift my mindset as well, and I want to share it with you guys. The story is about one of the most successful magazine entrepreneurs in the world. So he was failing school, he was in high school, and he was financially struggling, but he promises his mom that he would at least take the SAT. He takes it, doesn't expect anything, but he gets a 1480 out of 1600. Now that's for smart people. His mom asked him if he cheated, and he swore he didn't cheat. He tried to, but he couldn't. Now when he realized he was smart, he started going to class. He stopped hanging out with the people he used to when he would always cut class before. Even his teachers started treating him differently. He becomes extremely successful, but 12 years later he gets a letter in the mail from the SAT board. He was 1 in 13 people who was given the wrong score. He actually got 760 out of 1600. He said, people think my whole life changed when I got a 1480, but my life changed when I started acting like a 1480. And what does a 1480 do? He goes to class.
Okay, I'm gonna tell you the truth about the way the world works. The world can be a beautiful, loving, magical place, or it can be a scary, dangerous, hateful, negative place. It is literally up to you what world you want to live in. Your thoughts, your beliefs, your feelings, and your perception creates your entire reality. Everything we could ever imagine, every experience we could ever think of already exists out in the world. But our brains are getting stimulated at every single moment of every day that we are just overwhelmed and have to pick certain things to focus on. And your mind typically does this automatically without you consciously being aware of it. And so if you see the world as a negative place, that means your mind is literally filtering out all the positives in every situation, and all you can see is the negatives. But again, everything you can imagine already exists. So there's so much positivity in the world, but the filter in your mind isn't allowing you to see that. But once you become aware of this, you can redirect your perception and literally live in a more beautiful world.
What's one habit or action that you started doing that completely changed your life? I'll go first. So tell me if you've ever been there. You know, you wake up late because you stayed up late, and you wake up with regret because you aren't doing the things that you know you're supposed to be doing, but you stayed up late because you were watching the same season of the same show you've seen 20 times, only to wake up on Groundhog's Day on repeat and do it again. Somebody asks you, how was your day? Or, how you doing today? And you go, yeah, I'm all right. And you suddenly realize this deep hitting feeling that you are just existing. That was the moment that I realized how important self-respect was, and doing what I say I'm going to do and following my word to myself was then the most important habit that I could ever cultivate, because through that you make self-esteem, and once you start to understand that you're unstoppable and you're powerful, that's when things start to change.